So here's just a couple of review problems of completing the square and finding the vertex and graphing parabolas, which is the focus of much of this unit. So the first example, we are going to graph p of x is equal to x squared plus 6x plus 4. This first example, notice there is a 1 in front of the x squared. So this is the simpler case of completing the square. Now, if you are watching this video and you want to review, I recommend pausing the video now and trying the two problems on the sheet on your own before watching me work through them. So do that. Give you a moment. All right, I'm assuming if you wanted to pause it, you've done it. So here we go. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to complete the square. And here are our steps for completing the square. First, what we're going to do is we are going to group the terms with the x's. So the x squared plus the 6x, I'm going to group those. I'm going to leave a little gap. I'm going to put a plus 4 right there. Okay, that is fantastic. Now I'm going to actually do the completing the square, and the completing square says take this number right here that is in front of the x, and I'm going to take half of it. So half of 6 is 3, and then 3 squared is plus 9. And what I have done is I have changed my function now. Instead of what it originally was, it is now 9 greater. And so to keep everything in balance, I am going to subtract 9 right here. So now I'm going to rewrite this in vertex form so that I can see what the translation is of my polynomial. So x squared plus 6x plus 9, the two factors of 9 that add up to 6 are 3 and 3. So this is x plus 3 squared. And then 4 minus 9 is negative 5. Perfect. Now we're in a form that we're used to seeing, so we can see what is being done to my basic x squared function. And so what is being done is this plus 3 is moving the entire thing left 3, and then the minus 5 is moving it down 5. Now I'm going to just show you both things that I've showed you in class. First, if you want to, if this is what you're comfortable with, go ahead and real quick sketch out the basic function. So the basic function is 0 squared is 0, 1 squared is 1. When I go over 2, 2 squared is 4, over 3, 3 squared is 9. Same thing backwards. Negative 1 squared is 1, negative 2 squared is 4, negative 3 squared is 9. And just real light, this is my basic function. And then I'm going to take those basic points that I'm used to graphing, and I'm going to go ahead and individually move each of those. What I've also showed you in class is I like to take this translation and I just move the vertex. I'm going to move the vertex left 3 and down 5. So left 3 and down 5, and there's my vertex. And now I treat that as my new origin. Okay, and I'm going to do my basic points. And since there's no stretching and shrinking, I'm just going to do the same thing I did up here, over 1, up 1, over 2, up 4, etc. And I'm going to do it from here. So I'm going to go over 1, 1 squared is 1, over 2, 2 squared is 4, over 3, 3 squared is 9. Same thing backwards, negative 1 squared is 1, negative 2 squared is 4, and then negative 3 squared is 9. And so that is this point right here. There we go, that's better. And now I'm going to connect those dots, and this blue graph is my final parabola. Okay? Not too bad for freehand first thing in the morning. Just a couple follow-up questions about this, just things that we have addressed. What is the vertex? Well, the vertex is that shifting that we did. So the vertex V is the point negative 3 and then negative 5. Since this parabola points upward on the ends, okay, it has a minimum value. Okay, so I'm just going to circle the word minimum. And then what is that minimum value? The minimum value is negative 5. And then last but not least, what is the line of symmetry? The line of symmetry is this line in the middle that if I fold the parabola, I have the same thing on both sides. And so that is the line x equals negative 3. And there is my solution. Oops, you will probably want to see what I've written down there. So there is the result. Now, again, if you need to, pause the video so that and give the second problem a try. This second problem is, we're going to do essentially the same thing. The only difference here is now I have a number in front of the x squared that I have to deal with. Okay, so my first step remains the same. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to group those terms that have x's. So negative 2x squared, and then the plus 16x. I'm going to leave a little gap. My minus 28 is out here. Before I complete the square, though, I have to now resolve this -2 in front of the x squared. So I have to factor that out of both of these terms in the parentheses. So that's next. So I'm going to factor out that -2. And so -2x squared, when I factor out the -2, that leaves me x squared. Remember, if I remultiply, if I redistribute, I should get -2x squared. 16x, when I factor out the -2, that is -8x. Again, when I remultiply, -2 times -8 is positive 16x. I'm now ready to complete the square. Half of -8 is -4. And then -4 squared, -4 times -4 is plus 16. Now, don't get all excited and write -16 out here like we did on the previous problem, because I do have to account for that -2 out front. So what I've really done, if I was to redistribute, what I've really done is I've changed this problem by -2 times 16, or -32. So because of that -32, what I really need to do out here is I need to add the opposite, add 32. Now I'm ready to write my parabola in the final format. So I have -2, and then the two factors of 16 that add up to -8 are -4 and -4. So this is x minus 4 squared. -28 plus 32 is plus 4. So now if I go by my translations and my transformations, there are three things happening. I'm going to multiply the y's by -2. Okay, that's the first thing. This x minus 4 is going to take the whole thing right 4. And then the plus 4 is going to move the whole thing up 4. So once again, like I did with the previous problem, I'm going to do the vertex first. Now, again, if you need the basic points, they're over here on this graph. I've not erased them, so you can use them. I'm not going to glom up this graph right here. I'm just going to go ahead and move the vertex right 4 and up 4. There it is. And now you can see from the other one, here's my basic points. 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, etc. But now I have the additional thing. I'm multiplying all of my y values by -2. So here we go. So here's my new origin. I go over 1 squared is 1, but now I'm multiplying the y values by -2. So 1 times -2 is -2. And then over 2 squared is 4. Well, now I'm multiplying the y values by -2. So 4 times -2 is -8. So that's going to be down here. We probably can fit in another one. No, we probably can't. The value would be, if I had room, if I go over 3 squared is 9. 9 times -2 is -18. So I would go down 18 from here, but I don't have quite enough room. So I'm gonna skip it. So now backwards, -1 squared is 1. We multiply it by -2, so that's -2. And then -2 squared is 4. Multiplied by -2, that is -8. So I'm gonna make a value so you can see that -2 has stretched the graph out, and it's also reflected it about the x-axis. So there's my stretched out parabola. Our final question is just based on that graph. What is the vertex? Well, the vertex is what I move right 4 and up 4, so that is the point 4, 4. This one, since the ends are pointing downward, okay, so it has a maximum value this time. And what is that maximum value? The maximum value is 4. And then the line of symmetry is the line x is equal to 4. And there's our 2 review problems. If you need more help, send me an email, and good luck.